Hello. What's up, people? And welcome to episode number 5 of the Lone Gunman Podcast. It's your boy Rob Clark coming at you on this sunny yet rainy day. So if you hear any raindrops in the background, that's what it is. Because as I've told you before, I like to do this outside. This is where I feel at home. But enough of that. I hope everyone's doing well out there. What I wanted to talk today a little bit about is the JFK wars and the general state of JFK research today. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening. There was a great response to the last one about Oswald in the doorway. And I appreciate everybody listening and liking everything on Spreaker. And and this has a little bit to do with Jim Fetzer again. And I hate to keep coming back to this guy, but he seems to be in the middle of everything. And in case you didn't know, Jim Fetzer has his own internet radio show called The Real Deal, where he has 2 or 3 2-hour interviews every week. And he started doing a JFK show a couple months ago. And the whole crux of his JFK show, he's doing it with a guy, a DJ from New Orleans named Gary King. And it's overproduced to the point where it's like somebody's putting a drill inside your brain. Not to mention that Fetzer sounds like he's 1,000 miles away at the bottom of a barrel. But anyway, the whole crux of their JFK show was to go through Black Op Radio and Leno Sanik's 50 Reasons for 50 Years. And dissect them one by one, which is a daunting task. You know, I mean, for an hour-long radio show to listen, because they play the entire clip from, the entire first clip, the entire second clip, and then he comments on it. And for those that haven't been paying attention, because he's mentioned it, before on his radio show. It's been discussed on Black Op Radio, Len and Jim. And actually last week I got my letter read on the air where I was referring to this exact specific topic. I just don't understand why some people feel the need to just attack what other people are doing, especially when it's for the good of our community. And Black Op Radio provides an outlet that we just don't have anymore. It's a place where we can hear actual authors who've done the research, they've done the hard legwork and written books and examine things that we just would never have the time to do. And it's an invaluable resource, because a lot of these authors, they can expand on little points in their book, and it's very, very informative. And for the 50 Reasons for 50 Years, Len did that to. It's not for. He didn't do that for researchers familiar with the case already. He did it for those people out there who may not be familiar with the case, either at all or a little bit. He did it to wake some people up and maybe get them interested in the case. And each 50 reasons, each one of the reasons, takes a look at something specific. Whether it be the magic bullet theory, or Oswald in Mexico, and then incorporates, one of the authors that specializes in this area to comment on it. And it's very good. They're meant to be, short, informative, hit pieces that refute the Warren Commission. And there's a lot of reasons, and this is just 50 of them that Lynn picked to go with. And it's doing nothing but good for our community. Okay? And for Fetzer to come along and attack Leno Sanik and Black Op Radio for doing something good for the community is just asinine. Because normally Fetzer's reaction is either, if DiEugenio or Grodin or anybody else that he disagrees with or doesn't buy into his Oswald in the doorway theory comes on and says something, then he has to come on and he gives this big long 10 or 15 minute diatribe about how they got it wrong, and it really happened like this, and this is it because I said so. Or he'll come on and say, they got it right, but there's so much more that goes into this, and of course he expands on everything. But Jim, that's the whole point of the 50 Reasons, is they're not meant to be, half an hour long documentaries. Okay, they're quick hit pieces. You can only fit so many facts into 5 or 10 minutes. And that's the whole point of them. People nowadays, they don't have long attention spans. You can't get a lot of people not that interested in the case to sit through, half an hour, but you might be able to get them to watch for 5 or 10 minutes and get them interested, and they'll watch more and more and more. And they keep drawing DiEugenio into these faux debates with John Hankey, and it's Hankey's attacking DiEugenio, and Gary King wants him to do a debate, and nobody's got time, and it's just a bunch of crap. Whatever happened to the way it used to be? Where an author did their research and they wrote their book, and they corresponded with each other and helped each other, and they'd put their book out, and that was it. Nobody wrote a book condemning somebody else's book, or at least that's not the way it used to be. Researching this case is a task unto itself, and it's a never-ending task. I mean, people can spend their whole lives doing this. And for somebody to have the time and tenacity to go out and attack other researchers and their work and their integrity, it's just beyond me. And it's not needed at all. Okay? Like I said before, it's a distraction. Okay? Because the time spent refuting this dumb shit could be spent in so many better ways. I'd rather hear DiEugenio talk about something else that actually applies to the case than having to refute John Hankey and Jim Fetzer and on and on and on and on and on. And DiEugenio is not totally unguilty of this. I mean, his website, Sitka, they're very critical of researchers' work. And they write reviews for just about every JFK book that comes out, which is okay. And they don't do like attack pieces. They review it in a fair and honest way, and it's much appreciated because as much as we'd like to, we can't read every book that comes out, and it's nice to have a place to go where you can get a condensed version that kind of tells you what they got right and what they got wrong. And what supports that theory, and what supports why they think that, which they do. And But the straight out hit pieces are just unforgivable. You know, and this whole drama, and it all stems from this stupid Oswald in the doorway crap. You know, that's where it all comes from. That's where the rift came in. Because Osanik has had Fetzer on to talk about it. You know, and just because Lynn won't buy into it, you know, it starts a war. You know, and I know Black Op Radio is trying to rise above the fray and not really address it or talk about it much, but it's hard not to talk about something when the guy has got a radio show. The guy writes articles published on Veterans Today. You know, the guy he's got his minions everywhere on Facebook. It's hard to get away from him. And it's hard not to pay attention because you feel the need to correct him because he's wrong on so many things. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? You know, Fetzer's done some good things, okay? You know, his books are fine, you know. But it's not his research. You see, the great Zapruder film hoax was based on the work of, you know, John Costella and people like Jack White and other photo analysts. It's not Jim Fetzer's work. You know, assassination science. You know, it's based on other people's work, collated by Jim. And Murder in Dealey Plaza, same thing. Sure, Jim has a chapter in there, but all he does is ask questions on his part. And, you know, the other people like Vince Palomera, Douglas Weldon, David Mantic, you know, they all did good work, you know, and yeah, they got chapters in Jim's book. Well, that's fine. Because they didn't have really enough material for a whole book on their own. But in this day and age of email, of instantaneous communication, of the fact anybody can self-publish a book, anybody can do a blog, any asshole can do a podcast. I mean, you're listening to one right now, and I'm nobody. I'm just somebody with an opinion that's interested in the case. You know, anybody can have an internet radio show. Anybody can have a blog. Anybody can write a book. And a lot of people are still married to their theories, and it's just like, you know, because Robert Groden doesn't believe that the Zapruder film was altered, you know, Jim wants to attack him, and it's not right either. Let the man believe what he wants to believe, okay? He saw the film way a long time ago, before it's been remastered and all this other stuff. You know, he was a photo analyst for the HSCA regarding the case. He's been in Dealey Plaza for years and years and years, helping people, and you know, he's had some of the best picture books to come out. And for Jim to just attack him is bullshit. You know, because he might get a fact or two wrong here or there. It's just unconscionable. You know, we don't need any of this stuff. Let people put out their work, okay? And believe me, it will live or die on its own without any help from you. Okay? I read plenty of books, and I'll read a book, and if I don't agree with it, then I don't have to. You know, I can, and in this day and age, you know, you can write the author and be like, hey, you know, why did you put this in here? That's not right. Or why'd you do this? Or why'd you say that? And, you know, even in the Facebook groups, you know, so many of them just rehash the old crap that's been bantered over for years and years and years. And you're just like, really? You know, can we not move on from all this? Can we not get by all the rehashing all this old stuff? You know, I realize that some people are new to the case, and it's all new to them, and you know, there's 20 million new things to learn if you're new to the case. because one door leads to another, and then to another, and to another, and to another, until you're finally in a big mansion full of rooms, and you're like, oh shit, how do I get out of here? And that's fine too, because people need to start somewhere. But I just wish that the new people to the case would actually do a little reading before they attempt to come in and throw up a post about the Zapruder film, or something about, who knows, the magic bullet theory, or where Connolly was sitting, and stuff that's been rehashed over and over and over again. It gets so old. That's why I decided to do this, branching out. I've got a million thoughts in my head about this, and it's the only way forward, okay? Because, quite frankly, there's nothing new anymore, okay? What we have to do now is put together the pieces of the puzzle, okay? And some people think they have it figured out, okay? Some people think Lyndon Johnson was behind everything. Some people think, it was the CIA. Some people think it was the anti-Castro Cubans. Some people think it was the military. Some people think Oswald did it alone. But we have to take all the different pieces of the puzzle, and I mean stretch them out. We need to incorporate everybody's research. We need to look at things from the Warren Commission, the HSCA, the AARB. We need to stretch it out and look at all of it. We're not going to have anything new until 2017, and that's if they release them then. Okay? And, somebody that has the money and has the time and has the wherewithal is going to go through whatever's released, and we're going to know what's in there. Okay? And there are going to be more pieces to the puzzle. The government is never going to just admit and give us the whole story of what happened. We're always going to have to piece something together. This case is so full of people obfuscating the truth and outright lying to researchers for years. Look at how many researchers interviewed Jerry Hemming, and how many different stories did he tell. I don't know if we ever got the truth out of that guy. And if we did, which one it was. It's hard to say. And there's fringe characters, there's people in the middle of things, and I used to think I had it figured out pretty good, and then the more you look into it, you're like, well, I just don't know anymore. I used to think Oswald was totally innocent, until the more you look into him and look into his intelligence connections and look to what his associates in New Orleans, there's no way this guy was innocent. Now, I don't know if he was up there shooting at the president. I don't believe he was. But I think he knew something. I think he was involved in some way or another. To think he wasn't is just retarded. And I was retarded because I didn't know everything. I thought I did. But every day you can learn something new about this case just by searching it out. And JFK research nowadays, it just boils down to a pissing match between researchers. And we need to rise above it. We need to move past it. We need to get on down the road and put this shit behind us and get together and come to some kind of agreement. Because 50 years later, we're still all over the place. We've got people over here saying Alan Dulles was behind it, and the CIA and rogue CIA, and there's just things everywhere. And the key of it is, trying to figure out what happened and looking at things in a new light. Okay? Because the old way is not getting us anywhere. Okay? It's been 50 years. the old way hasn't worked. Alright? So, you know what? It's time for a new approach. It's time to throw everything out the fucking window and start looking at everything again in a new light. Trying to figure out what was crap, what's lies, what's obfuscation, what was the truth. Like I said in the Buell Frazier one. You got to figure out what the lies are. You got to separate the bullshit from the truth. Who's got more reason to lie? Buell Frazier, who's been interrogated by the police and given a lie detector test for 8 hours, who drove the supposed murderer to work in the rifle, who could be charged as an accomplice, or some random guy smoking a cigarette out before work one day? Who's got more reason to lie? Buell Frazier, that's who. Okay? I don't think Eddie Shields or Charles Gibbons or anybody like that had any reason to lie. You got to start looking at things in a new light. You got to see why these people that are protected are still alive and are still telling their little fairy tales 50 years later. Alright, there's a reason Marina, Ruth Payne, Buell Frazier, and people like this are still alive and kicking. And Robert Oswald. When all the fringe players, seem to be surrounding all this, it's just odd to me, that the people that toe the company line are still alive. And we got to reevaluate everything that went on. The best testimony is the first day testimony. I'm talking right after it happened. But then even then you can't tell what's authentic and what's not, who typed what, who wrote what, who signed what they really said, and on, and how quickly, the DPD went into cover your ass mode, or they went into this is our guy mode. No matter what, all evidence has to point to this guy. We need to figure it out. And I've just got a feeling that somewhere along this line, in somebody's family, that they told them the truth, and these people were just afraid to come forward. Like people that had to know what was going on, like people like Will Fritz. Who's right smack dab in the middle of it. Jesse Curry, or people like that. They had to know what the hell was going on. Warren DeBreeze, he just died. I'm sure he knew what was going on. Oswald was no angel. Okay, he was running some kind of an operation down there in New Orleans, to where he was pretending to be anti-Castro, or pretending to be pro-Castro. Because many times he stated he was a Marxist, not a communist. Okay, and Castro was a communist. He even said it on the air, on the radio. They were getting this guy, they were using Oswald to fish out the commies. Okay, whoever shows up at these meetings, I'm sure, were scooped up as being a communist. It was their way. One of their ways to to ferret out any red lovers. And that was a big thing back in the day. You got to remember, this is 1963. The communists were the enemy. The Russians were the enemies. And Oswald, being in the false defector program, was in a unique position, to pretend to be something that he wasn't, and to help out these so-called government agencies, maybe as an asset of the CIA or as an informant to the FBI. Because when he's arrested, he asked for the FBI. Okay? Back to the JFK research now. It's, the good books that are coming out are few and far between, to where we have anything new, any new ideas. And it's it's getting to be somewhat of a sad state, because I figured, the 50th would be awesome. We'd have all these cool, great books with all this new information. And then, what do we get? We get 800 LBJ did it books. Which, I don't buy that. He wasn't the mastermind of the assassination. I just don't buy it. He was the right guy at the right time. And he was compromised due to the activities he was in. And he pretty much had to go along with whatever he was told to go along with. And that's the end of that discussion. It was either that or he's going to go to jail or be impeached, or, his life would have been made a living hell. All he had to do was go along with them and give them what they want. And that's what he did. Okay? There's absolutely no evidence supporting the fact that he was a mastermind of anything except keeping his ass alive. He was the mastermind of that. And if it came out that Oswald was an FBI informant, well, then Hoover had to cover that up. He had to cover his ass, because they didn't want to make it look like somebody who the FBI was paying shot the president. So there's his motivation to cover it up. And if the CIA was involved in sending this guy to Russia and debriefing him when he got back, and treating him as, an asset, they didn't want that to get out. They had to cover their ass. They had to make sure this was never found out. And, everybody had an interest in pinning this stuff on Oswald and making sure that nothing got back to them when it comes to him being involved with them. Now, I think something fishy was going on in New Orleans, most definitely, between these Cubans and these freedom fighters and these gun runners. And I do believe Dave Ferry was in the middle of it and heavily involved, and Clay Shaw, and a lot of these military intelligence folks, and the mercenaries down there. I mean, who better? But anyway, I just wanted to get my feelings out there about the JFK wars that's going on, and just the sad state of research we're at now. And hopefully we can get out of the funk and we can right the ship. And that's what we're trying to do. And please, if you like what we're doing, go to Facebook, search the Lone Gunman Podcast, find my page, give it a like, share it. Please check out my buddy Doug Campbell's podcast, The Dallas Action, because he is doing it up big. The man is a machine. He is awesome to listen to, and he brings it every time he does it. He's got new information, things I didn't know, things I had no idea about, and he takes it a little further. He does the digging, he does the research, and he makes it sound damn cool while he's telling that story. So please go check him out. He's on Spreaker too. You can find him on Facebook as well. And hopefully we'll be growing the family here soon and moving on up to bigger things. But that's to be determined. We'll definitely keep you posted. But please like us on Facebook, like us on Spreaker, pass the word, spread the word, tell a friend. And that's it for this week. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. This is Rob Clark. Out.